Okay, so let us know if you can hear and see okay before we begin. A bit choppy. Yeah, it looks pretty choppy. Looks like having some troubles here. 1 second. Okay, see if this is any better. Hopefully the choppiness is gone. And if there is choppiness, is it just the image or is it the sound also? Like all of it chopping up?
turn the 4B on, or is it on when you just plug it in?
It's on. Just when you plug it in.
Maybe turn Wi-Fi on and see if it makes a difference.
You can try. What it's looking like is the computer had too many things on, so it can't free up any of those because we're actively running this, so it would delete the stream, which I know then we can't hook
So
back
what
up.
is on right now? There's something on right now.
Not now, but I can't, because I deleted it. I turned off pages and different things. But it's not refreshing, and I can't refresh it because it will cut the stream. Okay, so we'll just, I don't think we can do anything actually to fix it. So we would have to like stop the stream and then create a new link, and it would take a long time to do that. So I think this is as good as it's going to get, unfortunately. Okay, so if it's too bad, just let us know, and then we will go ahead and do that. So if you can't hear us and we're freezing too much, then I guess we need to fix it. So if it is too bad, let us know. But if it's, if we can get through it, that would be great. Because from our side too, it looks pretty bad. But we'll just go with it. Okay, so before we begin, let's take this time just to connect with Swamiji, with Satsang. And just to the energy of Satsang, to Lakshmi and Swamiji. Try to have this kind of prayerfulness and just kind of sink into yourself. And before you can usually be into a state of like meditative communion, you need to see what's going on with yourself. So just making some intention that you don't really feel a driving desire to accomplish or attune with doesn't go very far. So maybe start with asking, in terms of abundance, money aside, since like seems to be the topic for a lot of people, but think of goodness in your life. Think of good virtues, love, courage, strength, beauty, joy. Like the feeling of everything is beautiful, not like a superficial. Find some value or virtue It can be something else that's not just seemingly a normal trait, but it could be like maybe you want an abundance of like a meditative state. Maybe you feel like you're pretty decent at meditating, but you need an abundance of a functional state. But really ask yourself, what would make your life more fulfilling in terms of a positive quality shift? What would you like more of? Or what would you like to see that you already have more of and is in this universe, in this world, that you just don't typically have a good connection with? Or maybe you have some connection, but you want more because it's, you feel it's too limited. So check in with yourself, ask that question first. What do I want? If I could have an abundance of a positive energy, and try not to just say I'd like all of them, because it doesn't really work that way because you don't know what you're asking for. So then when you go through the different qualities, you'll feel your mind light up and be like, yes, okay, and then another one, and then another one. But it makes more sense for us as limited-minded people to have a target, a goal to work towards, and not a lot of generalized blanket statements. So think of a quality, maybe one or two, that you want to feel an overflowing amount of, like no beginning, no end. And if you don't want to make a decision, but you want to kind of feel led, grace-led to what that might be, that is wonderful. Just ask that question to yourself and try to feel a response come forward, kind of to your, you can address yourself, like with your name, if you will. Sometimes that has more impact than without your name. But address it with your name and ask if you could have anything in the world that would make you happy, an abundance of a particular positive quality, what would that one quality be? And feel that come from the depths of your being. That is a more accurate response than one that our superficial intelligence could make up. So if you can feel one from the depth of your being, that is wonderful. And if you can't, then you can set an intention for some more conscious goal that you have. Something that at least you can more easily set your mind on, that you would appreciate developing. So I'll give you a moment to find that, ask the question, feel that rise from the depths of your being, really hone into it, tune in, feel it, and then the prayerfulness is asking the divine to help you establish that in your life permanently. So setting an intention is one part conceptual, aimed towards some, in a bit, kind of like a amorphous goal. We don't really know what it would be if it was fully developed. So what would love look like if you experience it eternally, infinitely? No beginning, no end, no inside, no outside, not for something and not withheld. It's not an object to be given or held back. It's just reality or life or self. We don't really know what these would be because we experience them in such a limited conditional capacity. So when we set an intention, we more or less are kind of thinking about what the quality would be as we know it and wanting more of it, like an object that you could purchase, like have more of it. I have X amount of love and I would like some more, please. But trying to tap into the reality, the hidden universe, the hidden reality of these things, these qualities, experiencing the eternalness of it. No kind of, not bound by time or shape or form, not bound by human body, not bound by an appearance of a soul, not bound by emotion, not bound by your heart, not bound by your mind, not bound by a relationship, not bound by earth or any other realm or loka. So what would love look like if you couldn't experience it, use it, get it, give it, in the ways that you're used to? Likewise with happiness or joy or peace or spaciousness, we typically think of these as qualities we can add to us. And it's not necessarily wrong to think of it that way, but it does have a lot of limit to that style of thinking, and it can create problems to growth. It's better to look at every quality is not just within you, but outside just the same. And by kind of choosing to see that it is self-existent, not dependent upon a condition, such as somewhere in time when you will get it or experience it. Which means whatever your quality is that you want, you can experience it right now. Why you don't is because you have an idea of what the quality is that you want. You might experience some of it, some open heart, some love, some peace, some grace, some whatever, but it's seemingly in a limited quantity. And when we don't know everything, then when we ask for everything, the presence or Atma or eternity or God, we're asking for such a small thing. We might imagine it to be a big thing, but that's the thing, it's an imagination. God is not an imagination. God is not a fantasy. God is not a thought that you have created, no matter how clever you may feel it to be. God is not going to be bound by the shape of a cartoon or a figure or an artist's rendition of what a deity looks like. So God will not be limited by these things. And no one can really express adequately what God is then, therefore. So we have to look at all the ways that we've been told and all the things that we've ever experienced and kind of realize that all of that needs to go to make way for the true love or the true joy or the true peace to come forward. So think about all of the qualities, and all you'll feel is what you have felt them to be, or what you have not felt them to be if you have trouble feeling them. But you feel your limit. That is something that we are trying to knock off of us, this limit. This limit is there because you have a backlog, a history of experiencing certain amounts of the quality that you seek. But that is not the limit. But if you never challenge what it is that you're seeking, to really kind of break the limit off of it, then you kind of stop short each time. Which you could still get up to that limit and get more of it, which it might feel like. But if you want to go beyond the limit, you have to release the idea of more and less. You have to get rid of the idea of self, getting and losing. So what if you were infinite love, and it's not something that you can gain more of or lose? What would it be if you could not gain love or lose love, but you were love? So changing the way you think about something can change your sense of it. This is how you change your consciousness. To keep thoughts the same and want more of the same doesn't necessarily give you more in terms of a spiritual enlightened sense of the quality that you might be seeking. It gives you more of a limited amount, and they all sit next to each other in a very limited kind of quantity. But we don't want a quantity of love. We want infinite, which means beyond numbers. It's not a zero, it's not a one, it's not oneness, it's not two-ness, it's not multiplicity, it's not a number, it's not an idea. So trying to contemplate out this limit that we put on love, this limit that we put on joy, this limit that we put on happiness. Like, when is happiness supposed to happen? That's a limit. When this happens, I will be happy. When that happens, I will feel joy. When a holiday rolls around, I will be happy. When the holiday goes and I have to go back to work, I will be sad. Unless you like work. Then maybe even the holiday made you miserable. Maybe the work will make you happy. These are conditions. These are not the truth of the state. These are not the truth of the quality that you're looking for. So when you're looking for true abundance of these positive qualities or virtues, you are, in a sense, needing to open as fully as you can to not just, if you open fully to a small idea of love, you're not going to get much. You might open a lot, but you're not going to get much more than, what you think is going to stop you. The real boon with that is how much you open. It might even be bigger than the quality of love you were looking for, and then it grows into a bigger love. But with true abundance, get rid of the idea of material possessions. That can be a part of the spiritual path, but usually we don't need help thinking about wanting more of those things, so it's probably best to just leave that completely aside in your routine of setting intentions and prayerfulness. Our mind already has a problem thinking about the world and all the objects that we can have and want and don't want so much that usually that's just a problem. So what we don't usually ask for is to have stronger character, to have infinite strength, to have non-applied. Like, people want strength to apply to win or to control or to, dominate the situation so they can be the victor in the, whatever the dilemma is. Be it a physical one or a work one or a conceptual one, battle of the minds, battle of the emotions, battle of the psychic, battle of the physical. But strength we usually want in an applied sense. Forget applying. What if you just had infinite strength? You felt like you were the ocean of energy, ocean of consciousness. To use or not to use isn't even a part of the question in your mind. You just are. When you are, then you're satisfied. So contemplate abundance like everywhere you look, it is there. If you try to see it there, you actively look for it to be there. How is love in every little atom? How is love in, a state when you're going through an experience of financial difficulty or you're going through financial success? How is love in there? Equally the same. Your experience is up and down, but love is there the same. And when you're reacting to the situation, to your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, you might not feel love there the same. You'll be convinced that it is not there. And if you're convinced that it is not there, you're also convinced that love is not eternal. Love is not infinite. Therefore, God is not infinite love. And that means that what are you searching for? So it's not the divine. So then what are you looking for? So these are all really good contemplations because they get our mind lined up correctly, so that when we set an intention and we ask ourselves what is it that it wants, we can summon that feeling from a deeper, truer, more authentic place. And then when we set that intention, it feels like a movement beyond what we usually think about and feel, versus constantly hitting our head against a wall. Like not deepening our meditation and looking at what is love and then sinking into that, spreading, expanding, so to speak, into that. But rather it's like an object that you want, you're trying to grab it. And it creates a feeling, like a syndrome of hitting your head against a wall. You feel like you're just constantly not getting what you want. So you pray for meditation and it doesn't work. Think, maybe meditation is not a state of getting or losing. Meditation is probably more so able to be defined as the state where you recognize that you are not made up of something or anything takes anything away from you. So I could word this a lot better, but nothing that can happen to you will add to you, and nothing that can happen to you will take anything away from you. To understand that this world does not give you anything or take away anything. There's no gain and loss with you. Maybe gain and loss with the body, gain and loss with the mind, loses a thought, gains a thought, emotions, gains an emotion, loses an emotion. Psychic system too, gains, loses, sensory system, gains, loses, action, potential, ability to perform, gain and loss. But you do not gain and lose. To understand that is meditation. To understand that relaxes you, calms the mind, it kind of quells the heart, anything that's disturbing it, and allows for more of a natural joy to arise. A joy in a sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, and completeness that is not because of anything. So, such a beautiful thing. If you get a state that you can get, it is also a state you can lose, because it lives inside of duality. So the question is, when you ask for things like you want abundance of some material possession, you're just asking for something more of what you're going to be losing. And you can still ask for it, it's not a problem, but it might not be the right focus if your focus isn't really on the eternal. In the Vedic kind of system, you're allowed to live your life fully. You're not supposed to say no to something necessarily. Like if it's healthy and aligned, of course, you want to be a part of that, but you can say no to things that don't help you grow and move forward. But the idea is that your life can unfold in different ways, and you can enjoy it. But don't lose sight of your real life with a capital L, your real beingness, true Atma. Don't lose sight of the perfect self, unconditional self. So these all represent this eternal, infinite self. We typically forget that, and then we just go for the low-hanging fruit. It's like if you're praying for the fruit above to fall off the tree because you're told that that's better, tastes better and everything. But there's a fruit hanging right in front of your face. It's like, it's too easy, so we just go for the easy fruit. So abundance, in the true term, is not having a lot of things. That's a superficial mind idea of abundance. Abundance in a spiritual understanding is different ways of putting it, but more practical way of understanding is unending, no beginning and no end. Like think of the infinite river with no beginning and no end, an infinite growing tree, no beginning and no end. You have to kind of synthesize it because in this world they do have a beginning and an end. So then how can you make it a replica of that? So when you think about abundance in the spiritual sense, think about there's no limit to what it is that you are wanting to experience. If you think there's no limit to what you can get, then it's like kind of shallow thinking. But forget getting things and think about experiencing. Without having anything happen to your sensory system, can you experience the infinite ocean of consciousness? That's abundance. And you can. Even if you don't feel it, don't give up. You have to keep looking for really the true meaning of abundance. So abundance is not an outward getting. It's more of a letting go of all the limitations you're holding on to that you don't experience as a limitation. You just experience it as world, life, reality, God, religion, people, family, society, strangers, friends, things like that. You experience it, and every solid object you feel is proof that you are choosing to hold on to a limitation that separates you from them. And therefore, when you ask for abundance with this separation still remaining intact, then you're asking for an object. A lot of an object, a lot of objects of love, a lot of things, lots of emotions, lots of thoughts, lots of, So try to get past the idea of objects, so get to an objectless state. So true abundance would be, if you think about it, I have to make it practical again, like related to an experience, but there's always another step beyond. But true abundance would be, there's no worry of loss. Most people live in fear. I mean, you could say everyone lives in fear, whether or not you know it, but there's no feeling of loss. It's like, let's just say that your body was immortal, it had an abundance of life. It was never going to die. You live your life without any fear that it's going to die. So imagine living your life without any fear that your life or your body could come to harm. It won't die and nothing harmful will come to it. Then you live what you might feel as a free life and do what you want to do. You might not be free emotionally or mentally or psychically or spiritually, but you might feel like you're free physically. Do whatever you want to do. Let's imagine you had an abundance, like a wellspring of love, that no matter how much you loved, it was always there. No matter how much pain the world delivered to you, love was always there. Pain was barely even recognized because the love was so overwhelming that this idea of non-love just wasn't there. So that's something to consider. Something to consider. If you had enough of something, you wouldn't want any more. But if it's an object, you're going to lose it because it's in the world of getting, so you have to lose. You sign the contract. When you get anything, you're basically signing your contract saying, okay, thank you so much, God, for giving me this, and I agree. It's like those things whenever you put a new software in your computer, you have to sign a license. You have to check, I agree with the terms of this agreement. And then you hit OK, and then it installs. That's kind of what happens with everything you're doing here. You get this, this, and that. You're signing an agreement that says, I understand one day I will lose this object, and I'm not going to complain later. What do? We definitely complain later. So this is a helpful way to look at it, because true abundance, that type of mindset's not there. It's not there. So you're not thinking about gaining more things, and you're not thinking about losing anything. It's a non-topic. If you have true abundance, you are that infinite, I'll call it a wellspring, but that's probably not the term I would use, but infinite consciousness, infinite ocean. I wouldn't even use any of these words, but we're going to use them anyway. But let's just say infinite wellspring of that quality, where you feel it inside, outside, just the same. No beginning, no end. It's not in timelines. It's not part of the form. Forms come and go, but you are that infinite quality, that infinite, whatever the quality is you're seeking. The whole world could destroy, and you still have that quality. You still are that quality. You can be peace, and your body goes. You still have peace. Your emotions go. You still have peace. Your relationships go. You still have peace. Your mind goes. You still have peace. Your soul goes. Your psychic system, all the realms, lokas, sensory systems, things that you can do, your capacities, and drayas, everything goes. You have nothing left, but your peace. That's the purpose of doing the things like I am meditation, is to realize that anything that comes after just beingness, just acknowledging and experiencing your beingness, all qualities you feel have nothing to do with you. So you can add a quality if you want. I am, infinite love, but add the infinite. Or you can just say love, but make sure the love never goes away. That's your task if you choose to do a quality. If it goes away, then it's a small thing. So that your job, if you're a sadhaka that's looking after a particular qualitative development that you want to be eternal, develop the Shakti, which if you do that will develop the Shiva, the consciousness, with the energy development. So if you develop that love and you make it eternal, then you will experience the consciousness shift that knows that everything, of course, it's always been. So there's an immense power to understanding that every holy thing is inside of you. Like, you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to get anything. However, if you can't really feel that, you have to experience all of the sacred pilgrimage points within you. You have to experience all of the temples within you, all of the religions within you. You have to experience all of the gurus within you, all of the gods and goddesses, within you, devis and devas. You have to experience all of that power within you and outside of you equally. If you don't, then you kind of have to seek a quality to your understanding, or a deity to your understanding, inside of the box, with a limit. But you have to work out the limit, is the point. You kind of can't just jump to no limits. You can't jump to nirgun, God without form. So you are recommended to do sagun practice, so God with form, God with quality. It doesn't have to have a face, it can just be infinite love, infinite peace. It has to have some sort of a form to it. But you have to see it infinite. That's the trick. So anytime you see it not there, then that's your job, how to see it. So when you want true abundance, it can't stop and start. Like you see a person, you really like the person, and then you see them, they light you up, and you're like, yay, that was such a great day, I love this person, and I had such a beautiful day. And then you go home after meeting with your friend, and then the other people you're around maybe are less like that. They don't light you up in the same way. Maybe you don't like your roommates, or you live by yourself, or whatever. And the next day you're not happy, you don't feel the love. It's not because the person gave you the love, it's because somehow you rejected them less. You resisted them less, you judged them less. Or you judged them, but you put them up at a higher place. Somehow, you resisted them less. So because you chose to resist them less, you felt more of an opening. Had you resisted them more, you would have closed. So for instance, that same person that you feel the love for, if they were to, just for fun, say some vulgar comment that shut you down, and you get that reaction in your mind, you're like, oh my God, what's wrong with this person? Then you feel, funny enough, less love. You walk away with that experience with less happiness, less love. Interesting that it's not really the person. One might argue that, well, if they say a vulgar comment, then yes, they don't have that much love, so clearly. But I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's you. So if you choose just to not judge and shut down to things, you feel a bigger presence of whatever the quality is that you're choosing to recognize there. The thing is that a lot of people won't choose to recognize a quality unless that person, let's say, recognizes it also, or looks like a good expression of it. If you do it that way, you're not going to get very far, because that's like me saying that infinite love only exists if all other people are loving, which that's a hopeless path. No one's going to go anywhere. But if you say that I believe in infinite love, an abundant, eternal love, and the people don't have to recognize it or express it because they don't see it. Like, they don't need to see it, but I see it. That's what makes you a rishi, someone who sees. You experience. It's not you don't see some floating love thing and then you're a seer. You are that, and by virtue of being that, you see that. So trying to recognize the ultimate reality of true abundance is more important. If you're just praying for a pot of gold your whole life, that's not really going to suit you. But if you pray for happiness, you can get that, because that's inside you. Pot of gold is not inside you. It requires a lot of work to get it. And at the end, you really wanted it because you thought it was going to make you not worry about life, which was going to let you open up, because who wants to worry, right? If I tell you you just won $1 billion, you open and you feel like you have no stress because all of a sudden all the things that you have to do that you haven't built a good relationship with, all your tasks, your chores, we call it by names that we don't like to do, because if you don't have a good relationship with activities in your life or people or situations, you don't feel loved there. But that's because you have not learned how to find the love there. But if someone tells you you're going to get what you've always been wanting, then you open up and then you feel the love, you feel the joy, you feel the happiness. To a point, because it's conditioned by the money, by the situation. Anyway, there's a lot of examples that point to this, but hopefully that kind of puts some clarity on it. This wouldn't be the first time I've talked about it, obviously. So, whenever you do puja or connection to the grace, or in whatever form, fashion that you like to do, or meditate, you want to learn how to get past your desires for things and just ask, to develop spiritual insight, wisdom, connection, spiritual love. And spiritual love, you want to get rid of the mindset of, I want to feel love, develop love so that I feel love. It's not about you. In a way, it's all about you, but it's not really about you. It's a little too self-centered of an idea to really grow, because you keep hogging the love to yourself. If you want to develop and meditate just so you can feel good, but you don't share, so to speak, the love, share the light, share the goodness, then you're kind of like boxed in your own little bubble, your own little meditative bubble that you might find to be your sacred territory. But you're not ever going to really grow and expand. You're limited. So what can we do to let go of this idea of getting and losing? That's the real trick. It's the mind that puts you, like they call the game, monkey in the middle. It's like, that's how all people feel. Like, your mind tells you, run over there, it's over there, go get the thing. You go and you can't get it because the other guy threw it over you, and now you got to go over here and go try to get it, and the other person gets it, and you're constantly going back and forth thinking that the happiness is over there, the happiness is over there, happiness is over there, happiness is over there, and it gets tiring. So if you want to keep playing the game, you are allowed. But if you don't want to play the game and it's too tiring, then stop praying for things and start praying for the recognition that all of this is the ultimate. When you think of your life, you should be thinking of how it's the ultimate. And all the things that have been given to you is a sign of abundance. And all the things that have been taken away from you is a sign of abundance. When you lose something, it makes room for a new thought, a new way of relating, a higher consciousness to come through. Maybe you have to go through the temper tantrums first before you can get there, but when you lose something, you're getting abundance in a different way. You're gaining. I'm just putting it on a more of a practical, relative scale, but because I just said you can't lose and gain, now I'm saying you can. But in a relative sense, how we experience it. If you don't experience that you cannot gain or lose, which is the ultimate contemplation, at least to relate to your life, everything that happens to you, a gaining of physical things, gaining of relationships, gaining of money, gaining of jobs, gaining of this, that's a sign of abundance. And losing of relationships, losing of money, losing of jobs, losing of status in life, losing of things is also a sign of abundance. Because it's trying to clear the way of that debris so that you can get a better self-reflection, get yourself lined up right, and go towards the goal of infinite realization. So those things were in the way, and this is now out of the way, and now you have a cleaner path. But you have to be mature about it, or it doesn't work the same way. It can't work a little bit, but you have to try. So anyway, not to talk any longer about it, but we'll make a small little offering here and then kind of move into it. But you can continue to reflect on this, meditate on it. You can pay attention to the music, and sing along, chant along, whatever we do, or you can just meditate and let it be background music to support your contemplation. Getting your heart to rise and expand and relax in the right direction, getting your mind to rise and relax and expand and energize in the right direction, getting all of your energy that's suffocating to relax and expand and rise towards the appropriate direction is really what meditation is about. So learning how to focus on something that is bigger than what you normally focus on, and bigger than what your highest big is. Contemplation is breaking boundaries, breaking limitations. So if you think of love and it feels bigger than what you normally think of, that's great, but there's a bigger one. So find the bigger love. What is the love that contains even that love? And when you find that, what is the love that contains even that love? And when you find that, what is the deeper, greater love that even contains that love? And do this practice for eternity, basically. Keep asking that question. The sadhaka's path typically dies when they stop asking questions or stop being curious in that way. Because that's the only way for the mind to kind of, I can't say only way, but it's very tied in with how your progression of expansion is, depending on the contemplative mind and the allowance of the heart to let life be what it is without making so many reactionary kind of, we'll call it judgments about things. So I see that for some sound is good, for some sound is bad. So unfortunately we are out of thoughts about what we can do to fix that. So apologies, but we'll have to figure it out next time.
Sukino bhavantu.
So in Swamiji's name, may be blessed and have a wonderfully meditative, contemplative, heart unfolding, expanding, and uplifting night. May it continue on through your entire week. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste, thanks for joining us, and
Sunday.
we'll see you Sunday.
Well, no, not see you.
We will not see you. Oh, telecast.
Telecast.
Yes.
There's a telecast on Sunday with Swamiji for Halloween, and then next week we'll start our Diwali celebrations. On Wednesday it'll be a shorter session. Diwali is actually on a Thursday this year. So Wednesday will be a shorter session where we'll actually do a house blessing together. So you can do that at your home. And also we'll go over some things that you can do for the actual Diwali day in your space to prepare for that celebration. And then Thursday night we will also have we'll have the Diwali celebration and Satsang that night, and obviously it'll be streamed, and then also we will, for anyone that's in the area, you can join us at our home too if you are around, so it should be sweet. And then that same Saturday we'll have a Diwali celebration with Swamiji as well, so a lot of celebrations happening.
Get ready to celebrate.
A lot of celebrations. Yeah, so see you all soon.